Okay, it's Thursday, which means we do have jobs numbers. In the last week, 1.5 million more people have lost their jobs. Remember that this is once again a number that before the coronavirus era would have been twice the single week new unemployment claim record, which was about 700,000 prior to coronavirus in 1 week. We have blown that out of the water for 13 straight weeks now, record job losses, peaking, of course, with 6.8 million people losing their jobs in 1 week in late March. Then we saw declining to 5 million, 4 million a week, 3 million, 2 million. The last couple of weeks, about 1.5 million people each week lost their jobs. So this brings the total number of jobs lost during coronavirus to just over 45 million. Now, to put that number in context, before the virus pandemic started, the workforce was believed to be 158 million people. 45 million jobs have been lost during this pandemic in 13 weeks. And that is about 28% of the total US workforce. Now, it's very important to know, and I have no interest in hiding from you, obviously, that some of the people who lost their jobs have already found new jobs. So if you want to find good news or maybe not terrible news, the job losses are decelerating, meaning each week we have fewer people losing their jobs. That's good. Would be better to completely turn it around. We also, maybe most importantly, are seeing that the last 2 weeks, more people found jobs. In other words, they went back to work compared to the number of people who lost their jobs. So like, even though in the last week, 1.5 million more people lost jobs, slightly more than that went back to work. So the total number of active unemployed people actually went down. It's a very small change. We went from 20.6 million unemployed to 20.5 million unemployed. Okay, so that's important. Now, to say it a different way, 45 million people total have lost jobs during the pandemic, but 20 million are currently unemployed, meaning a large number of people have gone back to work. Now, what's the obvious problem? The problem is we're in the middle of a pandemic. I know that Donald Trump is pretending as though the pandemic is over. A lot of red states are pretending as though the pandemic is over. We're going to hear in the voicemail segment today from someone living in Hawaii, but we are still in the middle of a pandemic. The job losses are slowing down, which is good. But the pandemic is raging, and it's actually worse than it has ever been in many states. So here in the United States, overall, we're still finding about 20,000 cases a day. The last few days, it's been more like 20, 23, 24,000 cases. The 7-day average of new cases is going up, actually, and it has been going up for 10 days. But then you look at specific states. You look at Texas, you look at Florida, you look at Arizona and other states, they're spiking dramatically, and they appear to be nowhere near their peak. So look at the context, right? If these jobs numbers that we are seeing now are starting to be less bad because some states are totally wide open, but coronavirus is still raging, we have one of two possible futures. Jobs continue to get less bad as way more people die from coronavirus, right? We are too open. The jobs improve, but deaths absolutely get disastrously worse. Or we are going to have to shut down again. At least some states are going to have to shut down again, and we are going to see the jobs numbers get worse again. Now, we've seen some states like Texas. Texas is seeing this is the worst week since the beginning for Texas. Texas has made it pretty clear under their Republican governorship that they don't have an appetite to close down again. They seem to be taking the approach of it's going to be what it's going to be. Protect yourselves. If you don't want to go out, don't go out. But we're opening and we're going to be staying opening. What is becoming very clear is until you have a really effective treatment and or a vaccine, you can't have both a serious jobs recovery and limit spread because some stuff needs to remain closed. Some stuff needs to remain closed. I'm hopeful that here in Massachusetts, because we've gone slowly, we have a very moderate Republican governor here. He could have acted a little more quickly early on, Charlie Baker, but he widely has done a good job. We've gone, the planning has been phased and the phasing has been planned, as I like to say. And we have gone step by step. and it's a slower recovery. But the point is that hopefully it's a more permanent recovery that will get us to have some degree of economic recovery up to the point at which we have a vaccine and or effective treatment. Excuse me. In some states, they are not taking precautions and they're pretending everything's fine. And so while their jobs recovery may have been faster in the immediate, their coronavirus cases and eventually deaths are going to get really, really bad. And we would expect to see that probably by the end of next week. You would see a lot of the cases from early this week start tragically translating to death. So we're going to follow it.